Listen, bro, but I blew through 70K.
What if we say, what kind of style of clothing do you gravitate towards the most?
So I've realized that I've never really had a specific form. Like, you know how you have like hard closers?
Yeah.
Then you have soft closers? Bro, I shape shift. The way I close when I'm talking to a woman is very different than how I talk to a certain type of man. Sometimes I have to match your energy. Because you can seduce no Diddy and mother.
What is the life of a closer?
Yeah, so it's different because it really depends on the structure of the business and how it's set up. And to be honest with you, like, although we're doing really, really well, we'll still figure it out. You realize that, like, you'll learn, like, yo, you could do really, really well in life and not have all the answers.
Hey guys, we realize a lot of you are coming to the page and enjoying the content, but we see a lot of you still aren't subscribed. And so if you could click that subscribe button, it'll help our channel grow and give you more episodes with a lot of amazing individuals. Welcome back to another episode of Attractive Mindset. Listen, today's guest all the way from the East Coast came down south real quick to bless us on Haitian Flag Day.
Yes, sir,
we got Isakar in the building, man.
What's going on? How you doing?
Good. Welcome to the Yams.
Thank you, my brother. I feel like home.
Absolutely.
I feel right.
They got a lot of zones out here, so you're right at home.
I feel right at home.
Yeah.
Man.
So Isakar, tell the people a little bit about you and what you do.
So, man, just a young kid from Boston, Massachusetts. I just moved down to Atlanta recently. I'm a head of onboarding for a funding company led by my brother Darius. So majority of the people that onboard to the program go through me. So the easy way to this, what I do is sales.
Gotcha.
And I'm also now I'm also a sales coach. So now anybody who's in our high ticket offers, like, I'm now teaching our students how to close their deals. Okay.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have a good convo.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, we're gonna have a good convo. So, before we get into like the meat and potatoes of it, where you from originally? You said Boston, right?
Yeah.
And so in Boston, tell us what life like is growing up in Boston for you.
I want to be as open and transparent as possible. It's like you get both. It's like a blessing, but it also comes with the challenges, especially because, like, I grew up in the inner city. So, like, there was, especially the era that, like, I'm a 90s baby. So I grew up, like, towards, like, the end of, like, the crack era. You know what I mean? So, it was heavy in the 80s. So, like, towards the 90s, like, the aftermath of everything that took place in the 80s. So you talk about, like, bums on the, less fortunate on the streets. People sleeping in the ATMs, you know what I mean? So all that type of stuff. But with the Haitian background, like, my parents are always gonna do the best that they can to, shield us from that type of stuff.
Facts.
You know what I mean? So make sure that you dress good, you smell good, try to be as proper, So it was like a mixture of different things.
Both of your parents Haitian?
Yes.
Okay.
For sure.
So you had that
strict.
Yeah, I was about to say you had that
very strict.
That strict.
And they're Christian at that too. So it's like, oh yeah, like, you couldn't do anything. Guys can't have hair, can't pierce your none of that.
Yeah,
stuff,
they didn't want you to choose like a direct job field,
you feel
like
me?
Doctor or something like that.
L'école la caille l'église, right? Which means like school, church, and at the house. If it's up to them, those are the only three places that you're allowed to go to.
Sheesh.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And so now you growing up with that kind of household, but that inner city kind of vibe too.
Of course.
What's life like for you going through high school?
So I would say, like, with high school was like a different transition. I'm gonna be transparent, because I want to say when my family was able to, when we left Boston for a little bit, because Section 8, because prices, everything was going up, so my people trying to find housing. So we ended up moving in the suburbs for a little bit. Okay. But people think that because you move in the suburbs, things is going to be.
Bro, I tell them about Long Island and New York all the time.
It's like, at the end of the day, like, if your parents think financially, like, there's not many options. The only difference is you're going to be in a place where there's more quiet. Yeah. Right. You're not going to have, ambulance, people arguing. You're not going to have a bunch of drunk people walking around your strip all the time. But like, the challenges just shifts to other things. You know what I mean? And me, I'm always itching for shit. So I still end up dabbling into stuff that I shouldn't be. But yeah, I mean, but like I said, but outside of those things, I was grateful, growing up in the inner city and then moving in the suburbs for a little bit, because what it did was it exposed my mind to, like, a new environment. So versus, like, we're from either apartment buildings, right? Or everybody's living close, right? Versus like houses.
You got some separation.
Townhouse, there's some separations. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? There's more grasses. You know what I'm saying? You don't see roaches as much. You'll see ants. You know what I'm saying? Like you'll see squirrels. You see different creatures you've never seen before. So, but most importantly, I would say like the houses and like the family dynamics, because now you're living around people who live different lives, who make different type of money. So although I wasn't, you know, making the money that our family was making, the money that they were making, like it exposed me to more than what I'm used to in this growing versus the city. So what's going on, everybody? It's Isakar, high ticket closer for some of the biggest companies that you guys know on the internet. We're looking for anybody who wants to make an extra $20,000, $30,000 a month by using your phone, internet, and a laptop. Click the link in bio for some exclusive content on how to close your offers.
So what did you feel like in high school? Like, what did you want to do? What did you get to 12th grade and you graduate, and did you want to go to school? Yeah. Did you want to do your own thing? Like, how'd you feel?
I mean, going to school, I didn't mind it. I guess I just learned to just adapt wherever environment I'm at, because we move so much. So, yeah, I don't think that, but I didn't know, like, if I'd be going to college. I just knew that I just wanted to make money and live well. That's the one, like, there's one thing that I know for sure. So I just want to make some money and I want to live well.
What kind of pressure did your parents put on you, though, after getting out of high school?
Of course, they want you to go to college.
Yeah.
You know, because I've wanted to do everything under the sun. At one point, I want to be an artist. At one point, I want to...
Like a rapper?
Yeah, man. Everything.
You know how to rap?
Man, come on, bro. Maybe if I take my time a little bit, I might put some words together.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But
I was gonna tell you freestyle.
No. You ain't about to catch me. You ain't about to catch me trying to freestyle. You know what I'm saying? Nah, you know, I guess it was one of the things was like, for the most part, most people don't know what they want. So you're just thinking of things that you see, and you could, because something looks nice, you think you can do it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like you try to visualize yourself doing it, but in reality, it's like most people don't know. And I just never knew what I wanted specifically. I know I wanted to play sports, so we did play sports.
Which sport?
Football. Okay. So I did football, I did track.
So you're a runner, you're a track star.
You know what I'm saying? For sure. Okay. You know, and you know, me and D play football together. So
okay.
It was on the same football team. So we did have, NFL dreams.
Okay.
Obviously that didn't end up going the way we wanted it to. So I'm like, all right. One thing I knew, like I said before, is get some money, bro. So
that's interesting. So that dynamic between you and him, after leaving high school, did y'all play for colleges?
I did for a little bit.
And he played with the same college?
Not for a different college.
Okay. And so with y'all leaving high school, where y'all on the same team, and then going to college, maybe I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but like, how was that like link up to be like, yo, I'm starting this, and then him wanting you to do like onboarding? But that's, we're not even gonna jump there. We're not gonna jump there yet. So you in high school, you playing football, you coming out, you ready to do everything under the sun. What's your first job?
First legal job?
Yeah.
My first legal job, I wouldn't say I was a janitor.
Okay.
Because I got kicked out of my school the year prior.
Like expelled?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I won't say expelled because I had the chance to go back, or just not right away. But so they kicked me out for the remainder of the year.
Got you.
So I got in trouble for selling things in school that I shouldn't be selling.
I feel that.
And then I ended up getting involved into a youth group because my mom was trying to, you need to go to church, you need to. Because, she's, in her mind, my son's a drug dealer. So.
You got any siblings?
I do.
Okay. Yeah. Older brother, sister?
I'm the oldest.
Okay. Younger.
Yeah. And then, I'm the oldest of all. I think the youngest is 10.
How many?
5 of us in total.
Okay.
Yeah.
Parents getting busy.
I don't even know how, because they don't show no affection in the house. So we thinking these kids is just being...
It's just popping out of nowhere.
Just getting delivered. You know what I mean? Because I'm telling you, I've never seen them do anything affectionate. So I'm like, I don't know where these kids be coming from. But hey, I got some siblings.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so with you doing that, what's the pressure like from your parents to be an example, a model example for your younger siblings?
I don't think there was a pressure.
Really?
Yeah, I wasn't really thinking about it like that, really. I know sometimes people feel pressure For me, it's just more so like maybe it's just that the way I would grow up individually, or how I see life as an individual, my own experience. I just be figuring shit out.
I feel that, because I got expelled in 11th grade, and I couldn't go back to the school district, and so my mom had just had my twin little sisters at the time, and she said, "Look, you can do whatever you want."
Right.
She said, "I don't care."
Right.
She said, "But we're moving to Atlanta."
Right.
And you're not coming.
Well,
so
really?
she left me in New York. Yeah. And I said, fuck it, I'll figure it out.
By yourself?
By myself. I go do whatever I gotta go do. Yeah, and this is at 16.
Out of all places.
And so I got emancipated. I signed the whole thing, all of that, to be able to file my own documents under 18. And so I went to 12th grade by myself, all of that. And so it's just like the dynamic of how some parents deal with certain situations and what else. Like, no, but I always feel like out of all the Caribbean households,
right,
Haitians are number one,
right,
when it comes to like family stuff, and then second will be probably Jamaicans.
Right. No, that's a fact.
Yeah. Okay. So now you doing the janitor stuff. Did you go to college at all?
I did for a little bit.
Okay. What college you went to and what'd you go for?
My school's on like a JUCO.
Okay.
So I was going there because if I wanted to go to like a bigger school, especially to play football, I knew that I didn't have like the best grades. Like the only time I've ever made honor rolls in my life was when I was in that alternative school when they kicked me out. And that was just because like I was in a smaller setting. So like that, so like we had more free time to do our homework, to do extra work until like, so they did, because I'm in classes of like 5-6 people. So
they're not pressuring you.
Yeah, not pressuring me. So like I definitely was able to do better, but obviously my grades wasn't big enough to where, so I was like, let me just go to like a school that's easy to get into where I could still play the sport. And
what degree you went for?
Business.
Okay.
Yeah. I knew it. Like I said, I always wanted to do somewhere in business. Like, I don't know what business or how, but yeah, so that's what I was going to school for when I started. And I ended up not staying. Man, which is crazy because I had a really good spring. Like my first spring game was really, really good. My grades got up, but they ended up finding out that I played semi-pro the year prior. Gee. And I didn't think that was going to be an issue.
And it was an issue for them?
Of course. I don't know. Till this day, I still don't know how. Sometimes I feel like.
Isn't that a good thing, though?
That's what I would have thought. Because I've been out of school, I want to say, for like a year. So like, because I didn't go to high school. I didn't go to college right away.
Got you.
So I ended up going to like a community college first.
Got you. And
then I transferred to my school. So, but yeah, then somehow my coach, we had that conversation and he said, son, unfortunately, to be able for you to continue the program because of the semi-pro, I don't think that it would be the best bet. What I could do is I could write a letter for you. They always play that politics shit. And that day I was angry. Like I've never been so angry. Almost I just shed a tear. And then like he doesn't know, like he wants to kind of like empathize, but he's not really doing the best job of it. And like he doesn't like, I'm trying to lash my anger out, but not like violently. But he's trying to tell me like, yo, calm down. But yeah. Plus my school was, I ended up telling my mom, I don't know if I could do this, Mom. Plus my school is $50K a year. So my mom, like I said, she wants me to push the school route. In the back of my mind, I'm like, Mom, $50K a year. By the time if I do 2 years here, that's $100,000.
Facts.
We don't even got a fraction of that. My family was making, I kid you not, making less than $15K.
Damn.
A year.
Damn.
Yeah, like around, it was, what I'm saying? So I'm like, where are we going to get the money from? So I'm not about to put my family in debt.
Yeah, okay. So now, after you finish that, you go to the jobs, what's going through your mind as far as like elevation? When did you start getting to the level like, I want to make some real money legally?
I think I was always chasing something. Like, you're always trying to find the thing. So like, even from high school, like when I was, selling weed and other stuff, nothing crazy, but trying to start a clothing line, so like it was doing stuff like that. I did multi-level marketing.
I feel like everybody that grew up in the 90s
listen,
that did MLMs, I did Amway.
Yeah. So, there's like a love and hate relationship with that process is because technically you can make some money, but it's built off of like bad leaders and poor principles. So it's rather than you just telling people just get a bunch of people under you, just teach person the business so they can produce consistently and then produce other people to produce as well too. Versus focusing on just racking up a bunch of people under you just to get the reoccurring benefits, whatever the case.
And you know, I'm glad that you said that perspective of it because I'm not mad at MLMs. And why I'm not mad at MLMs is because that's my base. And I was good at getting people, but my people weren't getting me that much money because they weren't doing sales. And so I had to become good at sales to teach them how to start making sales. And so I was like, yo, because they would give me like ACN would give me like these bonus thresholds and they'll be like, yo, if you hit this amount of people and this amount of sales for selling phones or direct TV or whatever, like we'll give you 10 grand, we'll give you 20 grand, we'll give you whatever. And I'm like, oh, that's it? Okay, cool. So if I do it with my team, we each only got to do 5 sales for like 20 people instead of me trying to do fucking 50 sales by myself, you know?
I'm telling you, because it works better when the team operates as a collective. But when you're the only person that's doing it, it could become draining. I think that's the thing that I realized, that these, like, you know, for the most part, people were not taking their time to really train the people. It's like you're teaching about the business and the product, but not how to properly sell the product.
Facts. I honestly, I recommend everybody that wants to get into entrepreneurship deals with some type of MLM for at least like 6 months. At least like 6 months. Like, give it a fair shot.
Definitely give it a fair shot.
Because I feel like the only thing people run to is like, it's a pyramid scheme, which some could be, but most of them are not. Like, they're actual legitimate businesses that make legitimate money. It's just how they make the money that seems super sketchy. It's like, okay, cool. But it's a good foundation because they make you read these books.
That's why I said
they make you do all of that shit.
Just not to cut you off, but I would say that's one of the good things about doing MLM is because they're putting you in the books. You're reading all. I didn't know nothing about, you know, Dave Proctor or Earl Nightingale, Bob Proctor, Earl Nightingale, you know, like or you know, Dale Carnegie, any of these individuals, if I wasn't going through that phase, you know what I mean. So those are a lot of benefits because at the end of the day, their mindset is everything.
Facts.
Wanting to believe that you can make this thing happen, living life on your own term, you know, like The Secret, you know, like all of those things were definitely good for the mind. So I'm very grateful.
So did you ever start your own business at first?
I did, which I started a clothing line a few times.
What was it called?
The first brand was called Bear Fruit. That never took off.
Bear Fruit?
Yeah, that was going to be the first official launch. That never took off because when I got back into hustling, right? And shit, you know, shit always goes left, bro. But something went left. But it was my fault because I told myself that I was going to just make a certain amount of money and then I would.
You know, that never works.
It never works. That works. It never works. And it's crazy because I was warned like the week before. Like,
it's about like a friend?
Yeah, she's like, I don't want you to keep doing this no more. You shouldn't be doing it. Like, obviously she's fair for my life. But she's like one of my homies. But you know,
Smash?
Oh, women. No. This is just the
yeah, had to throw that in there. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, this is like just someone who just genuinely cared for me at the time. I didn't realize the depths of it, you know, until years later. But mom, yeah, she definitely had a good heart. But yeah, bro. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know.
Smash after?
Nah.
So how you just big her up, say it's somebody who cared for me, you know, I didn't realize it till years later, and you still ain't do nothing.
Come on, you know, sometimes we just be.
She like wild girls.
Nah, it's just at the time I only could see her as like a friend.
What about now?
Still, I think she's probably engaged right now or married.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Just the homie, bro. Just a homie.
I mean.
Nah, shut up. Yeah, nah. She was a cool person. Her and her sister used to always just come to the crib and just
smash your sister?
Yeah, no.
I thought you said yeah. I'm about to say, oh, that's why.
Nah, there was cool. just you saying some great, kind-hearted women.
Fair enough.
You know,
she wasn't your type.
I guess maybe that wasn't it. Like, yeah, dating wise, you know, because she, you know, just a.
Well, she was Haitian.
She was actually.
Oh, so you don't like Haitians?
No, that's not true.
I don't know.
I've dated Korean, Haitian,
okay.
Caucasian. Yeah, bro. You know, I have a huge appetite,
but not for her.
Nah.
I mean, hey, it's cool. I get it. I'm starting to understand a little bit more now. You know what I mean, all right, all right. So, you know, you made the decision, even when she said, "Hey, you probably shouldn't," and whatnot.
Yeah.
How far back would you say that pulled you?
If I listened, I probably would have, you know, maybe just structured it. I probably would. Yeah, I definitely would have not gotten involved when I got into. Yeah, because it's almost as if like it had to happen. And I think that's why sometimes like when things happen to you, sometimes you're like, yeah, maybe this had to happen. You know what I mean? So so I don't resist it no more. I just allow things to do what it does. Because the first time I got, even when I was in high school, when I got caught, like this you know, a cool dude, I forget his name, but he was like, yo, bro, just be careful out here, man. There's a lot of, and this is, I'm hearing this from a white boy, you know what I'm saying? And he was a real cool dude, but like he was somebody who grew up around the way a little bit, so he kind of like understood like the dynamic and stuff. So when he kind of gave like that heads up, I'm like, nah, you know, I'm good, bro, because at this time I'm in the school in the suburb. I'm not really thinking nothing of it.
Facts.
The very next day, bro.
Damn.
The very next day.
And so what, did you have any like OGs? Nah,
bro. It's like most people don't really have any OGs. So
yeah, you're just learning from the mud.
Yeah, I'm just figuring shit out as I go. Because you're either learning from as you go, or you got some OG who do. I don't really even like to call them OGs because they just more so like, because I feel like a lot of those guys around that time frame, all the real ones are getting put away.
Yeah.
So you got all like the dudes who was just, you know, third in line, like kind of like.
I feel that when I use the term OG, I use it for just the actual name definition, like original gangster. Like you did it before me,
right?
And so I call you an OG. Do I respect you as an OG?
You feel me?
Probably not, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. Because when you think about it, like they put all the young dudes on the front line without the principles. So like all the people who really understood the principles of how to move were all the ones that are actually doing the time.
Yeah.
So like because they understand something, and without leaders who led the way, like you have the everybody else's.
And that's what I tell people a lot too. Like, you know, growing up in the streets will teach you, it's honestly not that different than the business world.
For sure.
Like the government are crooks.
For sure.
Like that, the police force, that's an organized gang.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like people think that the streets are just violent or this or that or whatever. And it's like, bro, if some of these people that were really out here moving like crazy actually put their efforts towards like a commercial real estate or an actual business, like the type of things that you have to do from just staying out the way, staying out of trouble, staying under the radar, you know, being able to count, stack, re-up, do all these type of shit. Like they are damn near geniuses.
100%.
Because not everybody can do that and then do it while not being watched do it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because at the same time, like you're avoiding shit. Facts. It's not something that you just post on Instagram. You know, we can post our business on Instagram or run ads. You can't run ads for that. You know, and so it's so like, funny. It's
so funny you said that because of that era, a lot of like our students that are in our program, because I understand like why like some of the old people like don't like to post as much. And I remember one time I was like, yo, you have to understand, like I know what era you grew up in. I'm talking like our older one. I'm like, just know that you're in a different life.
Facts.
So like no one's after you, bro. So like you gotta post yourself and post your business, your lifestyle. You don't got the people looking over you, but like it's because they're so conditioned from the era that they grew up in. That's where some of the disconnect is in the internet when it comes to them posting or being on the camera, because back then nothing had to be shown. You can't show nothing.
At all. And so now from what's the gap in time from you doing that to you linking up with Darius again?
So after I got So after, what happened in high school, that me and these relationships started building over time because we had classes together. But, I'm from Boston, he's from Boston. So we already understood the dynamic. So, we naturally just clicked. So
what kind of guy would you say he was back then?
Just chubby, charismatic kid. Like my first time meeting him, like he walked into the class like eating crackers and like just being out there. And I'm like, yo, y'all know this nigga? Who? And like, yeah, he's always eating, bro. But when I got to know him, like, yo, this is a funny kid, naturally cool. And then after the year I got kicked out, like the dude, like on his way to practice, like he would, because the school when I got kicked out of my high school, they put me in an alternative school that's in the parking lot of my high school. So like he would come pull up on me like before practice.
Got you.
So that's when our relationship really started to like develop. I'm like, yo, like everybody else is not around as much, but then I'd have like my really small handful of friends like who would show up. And all the people that was showing me love when I was in high school was just showing me fake love. Right, or service level love. But like he was, so that's how it started. And then then I want to say like we officially got locked in like the year of 2011.
2011, okay.
Because now we're done with high school. By then I was able to get back into high school, get back on the football team. And then every summer, like we had like this crew called GRB. So we would be working out, training. And D really wanted to make it to the league. And because he had the mindset that because of like his, his height and everything, he wanted to compensate by just hitting in the weight room. So he would be bringing us workouts and shit. And like, that's kind of like the type of person that he was, right? Like he's going to figure out to not allow his incapabilities prevent him to not take things to the next level. So while he's doing that, like now we're challenging each other. Now we're going to the field, working out. So then that's how our relationship developed over time. So when after college, he came back home. He worked 3 different jobs. I'm working different jobs, trying to figure things out. So like we would go to like events together, whether it's like
what kind of events?
Like things going on in the city where like people starting businesses and they have like pop-up shops or things just to like network and to meet people, right?
And how'd y'all get to that state of mind? Like, yo, let's go hit this networking event.
Yeah, I mean, because our personalities naturally click, we fed off of one another. So we would just go out these events together. So if I'm free and he's free, we would just go out these events together.
Got you.
Like our first mentorship program was by like Brandon Boyd.
Okay.
Yeah. So like
really back then?
Daryl, this is probably like 2018, 2019.
That's crazy. Brendan been in the game.
Yeah, bro. That's so crazy because when I was with him yesterday. I'm like, yo, everything's turning around full circle. But yeah, he's the one that got us.
I forgot he was from Boston.
Right. Right. Man. Shout outs to Brendan, bro. For real.
Damn, that's dope how full circle that is, man. Holy shit. 2018 Brendan. What was Brendan like back then?
To be honest with you, he's the same now. I think for him, I just think, like everybody, like you get sharp, you get more and more sharper over time, especially when you're on the road of self-development, when you want to be a viable person, you just find a ways to tweak it. So for him, he was just getting it. He was teaching us on like mindset, having some type of like structure, like waking up with gratitude, being specific about what you're grateful for, being intentional about what you want to manifest in your life. He would tell us to pick, certain books to read, and we would just read it within the time frame.
That's dope.
And I think at the time we was paying him like $300 a month or something like that.
Hey, shout out to Brendan, man. Brendan been in the game doing it
for a minute. Yeah, he was our first time making that, making like investment in like into ourselves.
That's dope.
Yeah, shout outs to B.
And he's older too, so I can see him doing it longer for sure.
Plus he had a clothing line too, so that's another reason why I respected him as well too. Because at one point I was always into the fashion industry. So to know someone who's part of a successful company in the city, I'm like, yeah, he definitely has something that I could learn from.
So now we're starting to get towards the real gravitational pull of the story.
Yeah.
So what made you get into sales? Like what route made you be like, I want to sell shit?
You want to make money, you figuring things out. So when I wanted to make money, the first thing I was like, all right, well, what can I buy and sell? So when I'm in high school, it's easy. It's easy to get drugs and I'm saying. So like that's like, and me and my right hand at the time.
Well, hold on. I said, it's not easy to get drugs. It's easy to get candy and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean,
for a normal high schooler.
For sure. When you know around people from around the way, it's easy to make things happen. So, I saved up some money. I don't even know where I got that money from, to be honest with you. I think I just saved up all money that I would just ask my mom, my dad for $20 and then build up until I had enough. Or I maybe could have been for my job. I don't know. But yeah, man, I think that's how I kind of got started. But I think another thing is like I used to always get in trouble for like things that I don't feel like I shouldn't be getting in trouble for.
Like what?
So like I would just be, I don't know, man, just trying to like want to get out the house or wanted to wear certain things, wanted to do certain things. So like I developed like a skill set of just trying to figure out how can I get things my way? How can I communicate to get things that I want?
Do you feel like with your parents kind of pushing you into that direction, that pushed you that way more? Yeah,
I think they unintentionally pushed me there. My dad was always someone who wanted to start a business. Now he was never able to do it at the level that he would like to, but just at least seeing him attempting and trying. So I know I definitely, in my DNA, I got that from him. The gift of gab, a people person, being able to talk to people a certain way to get things your way. I cultivated that a natural skill. Then I just figured out, what are some other ways that I could apply it into other things? So, when I'm talking to people, I got some really good. And at the time, there was really no names for people. Was making up names for weeds at the time. So I'm making sure, I'm like, yeah, this is that. And
it's that sticky icky.
You know what I'm saying? So being able to properly converse and communicate what this thing is and how it's gonna make you feel, you saw the dream. So then people would buy it over time. And then so when you do something and something works, you just keep building off of that. So then it went from that to trying to sell products, and then at one point I used to sell sneakers.
What was the very first product you tried to sell?
That made me some real money?
Yeah.
Sneakers.
Okay.
For sure.
Flipping. I mean, I used to do the same thing, but we were bad in a different way. We robbed the trucks.
Really?
Yes.
Yes. I wish on people like you, man. Nah, I didn't rob the trucks, but to be transparent with you, I had a friend of mine. He was buying sneakers for himself overseas. And I'm like, yo, I'm like, you know how much these things go for? He goes, nah, bro, I'm getting these. I'm like, bro, they real.
I'm about to say that. They real?
I'm like, come on, man. Cause I'm like, you ain't about to have me look out here looking crazy.
Facts.
And then he goes, nah. But I'm looking, I'm like, yo, his Yeezys look official. Everything look official. And then him and his girl at the time, they were just always, and I'm at the time, I'm like, yo, how these dudes is always, they ain't making enough at their job to be wearing all this stuff all the time. But then when I finally caved in, I was working at a retail store. And the retail store that I was working at was selling like high-end products. And that's when like my desire to want to wear some more heat, because I'm in the store, they selling heat. I can't afford half the shit that is in here. You know what I mean? So then I'm like, yo, bro, if I buy this stuff, now I'm not gonna leave. He goes, bro, I'm telling you. So I'm like, I'm gonna buy my first product. So I'm going to be the test subject. First piece came in and looked pretty good, but the shoes was looking kind of off. So I was like, I don't know if I could wear this in public, because when I compared it to that, I'm like, this.
Yeah.
But I was my buy. I didn't do the research on the vendor, so we showed me how to find the right vendor, and then now I'm wearing it. I'm like, okay, this is good. Now I'm wearing the product around people, and the people that wanted what I'm wearing is like, yo, how'd you get these? And now they're inquiring. I'm like, oh yeah, I got to connect, I got to plug, and literally that's how it started. Started a business with no inventory, no money in hand. So like I was using the manufacturer photos that they was giving me, but I would crop it out, right? So that it wouldn't look like, right?
Yeah.
Look like it was coming from my phone.
Yeah.
And then every single time I got a new different order, I would use my camera. And that's why I shout out to iPhone for having portrait mode. So when you have portrait mode, it makes it, if you understand lighting, because I had a photography business for a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I was trying to figure things out.
Okay,
So I would use my, my angle, photography skills to try to take the perfect angle. And then I would put like the right nice filter over it. And then the shoes would look like
pristine.
So like it looked like I have like this whole catalog, but all I was doing was just building a catalog from every new order that I was selling.
I wish I knew that back then. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Mine was damn near life and death. They started moving truck routes because of us.
Oh no, this route what we took is way better, way safer, man.
Yeah.
I'm saying the profit margins is.
I mean, well.
What you mean?
Well, these trucks is loaded.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're like probably like 200 boxes, 300 boxes in a truck. But these are like original. And then some of them, if we get lucky, would have like one truck had the paranorms.
Right.
And then so the paranorms, the phone posits, sold by themselves for like $1,200.
Yeah.
$1,200, $1,500.
I mean, profit margins for you guys probably. Nah, you're right. It'd be much higher. Yeah, I'd be forgetting. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, I'm wilding. When you said the paranorms, I just remind my because those the galaxies.
Yeah, we had the Galaxy, the SBs, we had like the phone posits by the lows, we had the ones, everything.
Oh yeah, so
and that was the height of the SBs coming out, the dunks coming out,
right?
And everybody wanted the zebras, everybody wanted all that shit. Yeah, okay, cool. So you start selling some products. At what point does D create something and then say, "Hey, I want you to be part of this"?
That's probably like a few years down the line, because at that point, you know, I found a thing that worked for me, because I ended up getting fired from my job. I could never stay at a job for more than 6 months.
I feel that.
So D was the same exact way. So we tried to figure things out. So I'm doing this thinking thing. I'm making some money, and D found nightlife. So like that's what his main and brother was.
He was doing like bodyguard stuff.
Nah, like couple motor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but D was treating that as like a business, because he was learning from the people that was really doing it well. Because people don't know you can make good money as a club promoter. I never knew that.
Yeah.
So like as we're going towards like the pandemic, as you know, nightlife in Boston. So there was a decline. So D was just trying to figure things out, and I think he ended up running into my boy Mel, who's our friend now. But Mel introduced him to the credit game. So. And through that's how D learned through credit that you could get funding. So D's like, wait, what? So D tries it, gets like 140 something thousand amount of credit in like less than like 50 days or something like that.
Sheesh.
So like, and because Mel taught him how to do that, D was like, oh, I'm about to just start a funding business and credit repair and funding business. So then that's when D picked that up. So he was doing. So now he just took that online. So doing digital products.
What year was this?
This is probably like 2019, 2020. Okay. You know, I'll probably say between 2019 and 2020. But when it started to work for him, he was like, I'm trying to tell you, these digital products is it. I'm like, oh yeah, for us, what's up? You know, I'm not putting nothing of it. Because around that time frame, like we're still not really, we don't really still understand like how or at least I didn't understand. A lot of people did not understand how the internet works. Like nobody knew that shift was coming.
Facts.
You know what I mean? Nobody knew. So like, and then around that time frame, because it's something so new, especially with our people, like we're skeptics about everything.
Facts.
So I'm over here like, I see him doing some money. I see my boy doing content. His page is growing a little bit, and he's trying to tell me, but hey, I just made $1,500 this week. So that's how I'm looking at it. Right, but he probably ran like a flash sale with his digital product,
doing 1,500 in 10 minutes.
So he's running the ads and stuff, and like so, because he learned how to run ads for nightlife, so he just implemented that strategy in selling digital products. So then when you do that and you make $2,500 in digital products over a weekend, within a few hours worth of work,
life changes.
You feel me? So like, but at the same time, people was like, but on the internet, and that was my problem. I'm like, yeah, but all that. So if you make 100,000, you probably only really taking home 30 or 50. Now, with what I know now, even if I made 100,000 and my take home is 30, 40 bands a month, that's still what? A little bit over like almost like 400,000, 300, annually. But I didn't quantify that concept until years down.
And it's even crazier than that, because if you go on SBA.gov is one of them, but the one that has the statistics, I can't remember the exact name, but as of 2023 now.
Right.
I didn't check for last year, but as of 2023, the median for a black male,
right.
How much you think it was that they made in the United States? A year.
I probably want to say like 30, 40.
Yeah, $41,600.
Right.
And so
that's a year.
And that's a year. And so that's like the average. And so it's like, okay, if you make 60, they consider you pretty good, middle class, whatever. If you make 100, just a flat 100, yo, you balling.
You're doing above
at that point. But what confuses me with people, is when you make 10 grand a month,
right?
Like shit, 8 grand a month, you supersede like a big percentage of the demographic,
100%.
And people, because of how the system is,
right,
especially for America, are conditioned to not understand that your 9 to 5 is linear.
Right.
You're trading time for something.
Right.
I'm only able to make this amount because I'm not doing things in a time limit.
Right.
And I feel like our industry, when it comes to that, when it comes to sales, especially, because I tell people some of my numbers and they may not say it directly, but they'll be like, "Snake lying."
Right.
Like, I don't know. I feel
skeptical.
Yeah, because it's not average, and it's not. But it's like, okay, the SBA also states that a small business is considered less than $7.4 million a year.
Right.
And so that means even somebody who's making $1 million,
right,
still got 6 million more to go, right. and they're considered a small business.
Small.
And so I feel like we're not looking at money big enough.
Right.
100%. And there's way more. Once my mind really opened up to that, sales became a whole different thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, to segue back into you, how did you officially lock in with D? What did he get to do to say to pass your skepticness?
So after, I want to say, like, I think at one point we would just talk about, how we're doing, how he's doing. I think what really took my interest was I was going through a season like, now I transitioned out of sneakers, then I became a tax broker. So I was just so tax is what became like my bread and butter.
Oh, you touched everything.
I'm telling you.
Haitian for real.
I'm telling you. Now, doing taxes when I really made like real money at the time. Like my first year, I made like in tuna, I want to say like.
How do you make money off of taxes? Like you just your fee on top?
Yeah. So basically what happens is like, depending on your software, it's like what I was doing was I can charge up front, but a lot of people don't know that like you can also charge a client on the back end.
Yeah, from what they get.
So if you know ways to help your clients maximize their taxes, right? The more you help your clients make, the more you can charge on the back end.
Gotcha.
Right? Obviously, got to be consensual.
It's like funding.
Exactly. So I'm basically charging you a success fee for helping you make more. So the more money I help make you, legally able to make you, the more I can charge on the back end. Obviously, you're capped. But yeah. So that's how essentially I made my money. But I'll be very honest with you, I got in at a really like perfect timing because it was fresh off the pandemic. So there was like this code. Till this day we talk about it. Like there was like this code that would, if you was a business owner.
You mean a PPP?
Nah, it wasn't. That was before it.
Okay.
Which I wish I started to get my boy Jay Nelson, because him and his team, they started, they're based out here in Florida, in Orlando. So he was trying to get me for a minute. Shout out to my upscale guys. But he was trying to get me. I'm like, once again, because same thing. It's like, I felt like him and D were both trying to show me a whole different world of like other ways to make money. But because I'm doing well with the sneakers thing, I'm thinking I'm well until that goes a different way. So when I finally caved in, but I caved in because the money went dry.
Gotcha.
Because entrepreneurship, it's like you could do well.
Yeah.
6-12 months.
Got $1 million a month and next one makes zero.
Listen, bro, but I blew through $70K.
Ooh.
Trying to tell you something.
On what?
Shit. You tell me. I don't even know, to be honest with you.
Were you into like club stuff back then?
No.
So what'd you do?
You know what it was, brother, to be transparent? I think for one, sometimes like when we make money, we feel obligated to like help everybody out.
I feel that.
And I think I got caught up in stuff like that. Like, just whether mom, your pops, like your brother, or sometimes if you're in a relationship, sometimes it's your spouse. So then it's like you're constantly, doing outings, whether eating out a lot more, right?
Should have stuck with old girl.
You feel me? And you already have your own habits and lifestyles. Then you're, probably overspending, right? Hey, just rather than spend, a couple $100 or so, you want to go splurge on spend $400-500, and then you do that like every other month. Plus, if you have a family, then you got kids. Now you're just spending more and more. So like, it's just mismanagement.
Yeah, that's
what it was, brother. Just mismanaging,
and it goes
capital, and the money does.
And I feel like that's one of the biggest downfalls of our culture, our community, right? Is, and they say it, the black dollar leaves our community in like 6 seconds or 6 or 7 seconds. And we don't know how to retain money properly. Right. It's not that we don't make it, right? But we can't retain it properly, and we don't put it into categories that's gonna like branch out.
100%. So that was, I know for sure that was my biggest thing, and you don't, especially for myself, like because I was making more money that I never made before. Like I wanted to maintain that image, even though it was in front of my partner. Not knowing, okay, I got 80K or whatever the case is, but then I'm spending like 3 months down the line, I'm like, oh shoot, I'm down to 10 bands.
And so when you went down, how did she react?
I wasn't communicating it. So that's why I have to take accountability, because I'm thinking if I get some more clients, but not understanding like, some people like after like that tax window, if you don't got no crazy ads and marketing system or anything like that, you're not gonna find that much people. You feel me? So you may get like every 2 or 3. And me, I was hustling, so I get burnt out sometimes without even knowing. Before I even know what burnt out was, I would just be unmotivated to do anybody's shit, not knowing, because I went hard for like 3 months. You know what I mean? So yeah, bro. So that was a great year, but at the same time, it's like a big learning curve.
So what happened when she did find out?
So when she did, women gonna be upset. They're gonna be concerned, and then
she dipped.
Nah, she didn't dip. She didn't dip right away. Nah, she didn't dip. To be transparent with you, nah, she didn't. Obviously, she was annoyed and upset and frustrated. But I just knew how to like, like I'm just figuring it out. Like I'm gonna figure it out, So
you still with her?
Nah. Yeah, life is not for the weak, man. Things
I
get
feel that.
Yeah. So
I feel that. Did she ever spin the block? Can she see you now?
Nah, I think she got her little thing going on right now, and then she's.
Is she really though?
I don't know. Everything seems good and peachy, so I respect her where she's at in her privacy. Yeah. I don't know.
You gotta be like, yo, it's me though.
No, but I don't need to do that, because I know who I am. I stand on who I am. I've always been like that, whether I was up or down.
I feel like you got to say that to the camera.
Yeah, I've always been him. You feel me? I really have been. Like, even when I was in my dark seasons, like, I'd be transparent, like, because I went through those motions, like, when I'm not doing my best and I'm not making what I normally make. Like, I knew that, like, I can't walk out into that door and show it to you. No, but I would just be in my dark place by myself in the crib. So when she was upset and she didn't really understand that I'm just trying to figure things out, because I'm still trying to figure out like what's going on in life and how I'm going to make this shit work. I was like, I've been through this up and down roller coaster way too long. So that's when I began the shadow work and just building myself.
Facts.
Because I know who I am, because I'm not about to allow someone's perception or perspective of me. That's not how I see myself. That's not how you should see yourself. Like, you should always build yourself up.
So there's some men that I've talked to on this podcast that I brought a lot of different personalities on this podcast, right. and the two most recent ones that have completely different perceptions, but they're justified in their own sense, right. is him 500 and Derek Grace, right? And so Derek Grace is poly.
Right.
He his girl sitting right there. He's like, yeah, I'll probably go find another one later. And that's the route that he want to go. And then you have somebody like a him 500 where him 500 is interesting. Marcus is an interesting guy.
Really?
Because he is on a whole different level of mindset.
Right.
Our conversation went like he's the catch. He's always been the catch.
Mm-hmm.
When he was fat, when he's not fat, like like he's always had this mindset, and his wife perfectly fits him.
Wow.
And it's like a match made in heaven.
That's
and they link up on that kind of level. But there's some guys out there that are super successful that say, don't get a woman. And then there's guys like him that will say, your partner makes you better. What? How do you feel about that?
I think if something works for you, then it works for you. So sometimes it doesn't make either right or wrong, because at the end they were just battling of perception and perspective. You see a 6, I see a 9. What are we arguing for? My perspective tells me this based off of the condition that I'm in, or where I'm at, or where I'm positioned. So I'm going to see life this way.
That was a very safe answer. You got a girl you trying to hide something from or something?
Nah, that's just how I really see life, for real.
Okay.
And I've accepted that. I know that people, because sometimes people be like, yo, that's to say people, I always get that. But in reality, it's just like 1 + 1 = 2. 4 subtracted by 2 = 2. So like you could do the same thing, get to the same equation.
Yeah.
There's multiple ways to get to the same answer. Right. So like I don't think that there's one way to get to a destination or 2 ways. There's multiple ways. But if we haven't explored or exercised the different ways to get to the same outcome, you know what I'm saying, then you're only going to stick to the small few. But I think that doesn't work for everybody. Gotcha. There's no such thing as a one size fit all. Everybody comes from different experiences, different traumatic experiences, right? Most things mold you and shape you to how you see life. You know what I mean? So like sometimes that's why that's one of the reasons why I don't like debating sometimes. Because it's like, what are we debating about? The purpose of us to talk about a subject to see how can we understand why you see what you see, versus this dick sword fight where like I'm trying to force my beliefs on you. Facts. And this is why you should see my belief, why you should accept it. And if you don't accept my belief, then you are this, or this is going to be the outcome. In reality,
most people have never met wisdom in their life.
Right.
And met like that level of understanding or wanting to understand the person that they're interacting with or dealing with or whatever. And, I can't even lie. That was kind of me at first. It took me going on deployment to understand that, because the people that we went over there to fight, like, he was like, yo, why y'all hate us?
Right.
And it was a peculiar answer, because I was like, I don't hate you.
Right.
But I'll kill you. But he was like, why?
Right.
And that one little simple question, why, was like, why? Why would I do this?
You never sat and processed.
And he was like, we just like you. And we went on a tour through like the city and stuff. And the kids had phones, Jordans, like the kids my age was just doing what they do in a different language is what it felt like. Different environment, different language, but same structural type of things. And I was like, damn, maybe we not that different from them. And it almost made me feel racist a little bit, because I'm like, we feel like we're better than these people and everything. And even before I got over there, I was like, man, they only got camels and shit. Like, it's all desert. And bro, in their mall, their small mall, they had a water park in their small mall.
Really?
And I'm like, yo, the money is crazy. And this is before I really found out about like Dubai and all of that shit. Because I'm like, okay, cool. They're the real money getters. Like, they really do this on a different level. But America kind of conditions you to this mindset that we're the best and we got to shit on everything and everyone else. And I went over there with so much prejudice towards that I genuinely, I apologize. I was like, damn, I feel bad.
Right. It's like, it's crazy because our environment can really shape our beliefs. In reality, you ask yourself, is it really your beliefs, or you just accept somebody else's belief because you didn't really have anything to compare it to? So then when you take that for so long, It's like you think what you think is what life is.
Facts.
But the thing about life that people don't realize, like life for what it is always going to expose itself.
Big facts.
But now you have the opportunity to accept it or reject it. Because you can't unsee when you see something.
100%.
Right? And I think that sometimes people get so stuck in like, because they've wanted to see this thing and wanted to believe it, that they get frustrated that it's not what they think it is. I'm like, I spent all these years thinking.
That's why they say never meet your superheroes.
Never.
Yeah, no, that's dope. Okay, so now, what is it like for you meeting, or not meeting, but really getting into the business with D and taking on a specific role? Was that your first role in there? Like, how did you get that role and then say, yo, I'm head of this and this is what I'm gonna do?
Yeah. Like my ADHD be kicking in sometimes, so I know you did ask me that question. I never answered directly, so I do apologize. That's all good. Crazy. I know I should take an Adderall, but it never worked for me. But to answer your question, I want to say probably like 2-3 years. While I was into taxes, he needed a closer. He had a closer, but his closer was like too like
rough.
Yeah, it's like if you ain't buying, all right, and then would show his emotions to the client, and you never do that.
Facts.
So I think he was dealing with that. So then I'm like, yo, bro. It was like, well, hey, tax season is about to be over pretty soon. So I was like, yo, what's up? How we gonna make this work? So, and because I understood numbers, because I get paid off of a percentage when I was doing taxes, so like I had another relationship. I'm like, yo, bro. So boom, look, you close this, you talk percentages to me, and then I was like, so if I, close this, I can make this. He goes, yeah.
So let's give some gems. If somebody is starting a company and wants to hire a closer, what should they be doing? Should they be paying that closer up front? Should they be paying percentage based? Is it commission? Like how does somebody find a closer and say, okay, cool, this is a good deal for me and let's do it?
Yeah, so there's a few ways. Like there's Facebook groups. Obviously you could always use Indeed as well too. Indeed, Facebook groups are some places that you can find closers. But
on Indeed, what would you look for? On Facebook, what would you look for?
Just type that in.
Closer?
Yep. Because there's like Facebook groups of people looking for jobs, or like people who have sales history. So like they create those types of things. And also, so like that was like the main two places that you could find closers. And some people, if you come across somebody who naturally has a gift of gab, or who is in a sales-based industry and who's doing decent or well at a car dealership or a retail store, you go, what'd you think about? That's another good place to outsource closers as well too. So, but for the most part, online.
And then when you hire them, like, what kind of conversation are you having? Like, because what the issue that I find a lot with building up businesses is they don't have that upfront to pay for a really skillful closer. And so do you search commission based?
So I would say is if you are sitting on some money, right? There's a few ways you can do. If you're sitting on some money, to be honest with you, the majority of sales you're always gonna have to do commission regardless. Now, if you want to, depending on how much money you're selling, you can say, hey, listen, I'll give you like a base pay, but if I give you a base pay you got to do X amount of calls a day, right? Provide some type of structure, because there has to be a time frame of consistent work that they have to be doing. So you're gonna give somebody a base pay and then commission. You got to make sense for your behalf too, because at the end of the day, you're not going to just pay somebody.
And what's a good commission to give somebody?
I think you should always start off at 10%.
10%?
Yeah, that's the lowest you should be.
Of any sale.
Yeah. Now, when you're selling like multi-million-dollar, then, sometimes people do adjust the percentages.
Up or down?
Yeah, down.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because not everybody's going to, if you help somebody make $30 million, they're probably not going to give you
10%.
You know what I'm saying? 10%. Yeah. Especially when you're selling things that are hundreds of thousands of dollars, then they might do like 8% or 5%. But hey, you're getting a still, a big chunk. But for sure. But yeah, on average, 10%.
Okay.
Of whatever the product is.
And then what should from the owner perspective, what should a closer be definitively doing to say, okay, this is a good closer that's making progress for me?
Me personally, you got to be teachable. You got to be coachable. So you should be learning how to close. Some people naturally have the ability. I could be very honest with you. I naturally know how to sell. But that doesn't mean that I just relied on just selling, right? Yeah, so what I would do is every once in a while, like I would learn from other people on YouTube, people like Jeremy Minor, Andy Elliott, you know, Dan Locke, and I would just like watch like a few of their videos.
Andy Elliott's a little aggressive.
For sure. And I when I first decided to study sales, I was going to Scottsdale. But I like what he has going on because the dope thing about him, although he's very controversial, is he understands, this is what people don't understand, he understands how to create a culture within, not only within your business, with your people that work with you or that work for you, but also the people that join your program.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, and you hear people on, oh, he's a cult. Cult, when you have culture, that's the root word of culture is cult, right? So like that is not necessarily a bad thing if the intentions is not, you know what I mean?
His intentions are pretty bad.
I think it's subjective because like when you get to, like I said, I'm not saying
a certain level of money. Yeah,
of course, because I think they're like, I'll say this. In reality, if you talk to somebody long enough, somebody sits with you long enough, they're gonna find a small handful of things that they just don't like about you.
I feel that.
So if you go looking for that, you're gonna find what you're looking for.
Facts.
And then if you focus on that, that's all you're gonna put your attention on.
Facts. I feel like my gripe with him lies in the overexerted alphaness. I understand the money part more so because it is a skill. It's a talent to be able to do that and teach that. But it's the overexerted, right. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
I know that is a lot.
Yeah.
But sometimes, and whether we agree with it or not, like I think people have to understand too, like sometimes you need that. And let me explain to you why I say you need that. Because I've spoken to him in real life before, or I listened to him talk, and I've heard people that said certain good things about him and not good things about him. People that work with him, made money with him. So I pay attention to everything. But when you think about it, bro, like you start realizing like when you look at like old videos of him before, it's two different persons.
And in a good way or bad way?
Depending how I look at it, he's like, this wasn't you. Wasn't always like this. For the most part, when people are leveling up, a lot of times people that knew you, grew up with you, is like, yo, you wasn't always. When they see you, it's like you wasn't always like this.
So he was a herb.
Yeah, for sure. Like if I would look at him like, yeah, I wouldn't want to learn from it. But then again, he was doing well in his industry, but he was producing well. But when you listen to him talk, when he was teaching sales, when he left the car industry,
he wasn't him.
And you see who he is now, it's definitely two different people. And he's big on recreation. And I understand that dialogue of recreation because at the end of the day, sometimes you have to be a different version of yourself in order to get a certain job done. And when I understood that concept, because I would see those things and then I would look at myself and be like, yo, I do the same exact things. Like, because I know that when I step out into this world, I got to be a different person because who I am naturally won't push the needle forward.
Got you.
So like, have you ever watched, not to make this about TV or cartoon, have you ever watched Yu-Gi-Oh?
Yeah.
So have you noticed how like, when Yu-Gi-Oh needs to get things done, the little Yu-Gi has to become a different version of himself.
He turns into the tall one.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever listened to Kobe Bryant speak? Right? When he's Kobe, everybody, yo, he's nice. But then when he's Black Mamba, he understands that in order for him to dominate the game, he has to be the Black Mamba. Facts. Beyonce's the same exact Sasha Fierce. So I realize that sometimes you do have, like, we all have different versions of ourselves.
I mean, that's me. I go by Rich. That's not even my name.
Exactly. Exactly. And sometimes people don't have a relationship with the other side of them because of who that version of you is and what it brings out, not only to you, but how it could affect other people.
That's deep.
Yeah, you got to be willing to accept what comes with this version of myself because at the end of the day, if you want to get here, you have to be, you got to be ruthless if you want to go to war.
Nah, facts. And so with all that being said, what kind of closer would you describe yourself as?
That is a great question. Damn. I don't know. what I would label myself. At least not right now, because I think I'm still discovering.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm. Damn.
So what if we say, what kind of style of clothing do you gravitate towards the most? Like, what's your bread and butter to be like, I know I'm finna lock this deal?
Like, so I don't know if it has a particular style or not, but I'm going to label it as something. And it just came up in my head because I never really labeled it before, so I don't come on the spot. But one thing I learned about myself is that I've always, especially because of how I grew up, I've always learned to adjust and adapt. Always. So I've realized I've never really had a specific form. Like, you know how you have like hard closers?
Yeah.
Then you have soft closers?
You're malleable.
Bro, I shape shift. I shape shift. Sometimes, like, the way I close when I'm talking to a woman is very different than how I talk to a certain type of men. Sometimes I have to match your energy.
Facts.
Right? If I know you come from that element that I grew up in or whatever, or that my street element, I have to speak in that language because I know that's your language.
Facts.
While trying to maintain my level of professionalism, right? To the best of my abilities. If I'm talking to a woman, I know how women like to be spoken type of way, like to be encouraged a certain type of way. And it's different. This seduction evolved into it the right way. Right? So, like, because you could seduce no Diddy, I'm about to say, like, there's ways exactly what where you could get a guy who's to tone his energy down a little bit, but also make him feel himself a little bit in order to advance forward. So, like, I've learned how to, and I study, I read these books, 48 Laws of Power, Dark Psychology, The Art of Seduction. So, like,
you ever watch any anime?
I haven't. I've seen a few episodes, but people tell me that I definitely
Death
should.
Note. I feel like you would like Death Note.
Damn, now I gotta know. Yeah, you gotta send me.
Yeah, I'm gonna send it to you. So Death Note is about this guy. He starts off as a really good kid,
right? And
his name is Light. It's the irony in it, but he falls upon a book,
right? That's
dark, and it's called Death Note.
Right.
And whatever you write in the book, depending on how you write it, if you write somebody's name in it, they die the way you write it or whatever. And so he's really good at academics and smart and all of this stuff. And then he starts off at first like trying to be like a vigilante, and this like shadow creature comes, which can be perceived as the shadow version of ourselves, because that the creature was actually cool. And it wasn't really telling him what to do.
Right.
It just always told him, like, you got the option to do it. And that's when his dark side started coming out.
Right.
And he just started doing some left field manipulation type stuff. And so he didn't have any superpowers or anything. And so he had to play the game super manipulative. And his dad, I think, was like the chief of police or something. And so he had to like move around and do like some crazy psychological shit. And it's like, yo, what did this man just come up with?
Right.
Yeah. And I feel like you would understand.
Yeah, that already sounds like I'm already into it.
Yeah, because I like watching shows.
That's I do like that's why one of the reasons why I like the Avatar is because, like, like when you watch a lot of these shows, right? For the most part, if you pay attention to people, they always try to figure out who they associate with. So then you'll hear, so if you hear a conversation, I'm a Fire Nation. I was always fascinated with Aang and his ability, especially as you watch the show, you saw that he learned how to all elements.
Yeah.
So I was always drawn to someone who was able to do, master the field like that. Because then you have more of an advantage, right? When you get to connect at a different level, then you master an ability where no matter what the playing field is, you're always going to come out on top. And I like that dynamic. I like to know that.
You believe in like horoscopes and stuff?
I do think that there's some truth to it. Like, I've never fully delved into it. No, and I'm not opposed to learning.
But when's your birthday?
November.
Okay, so you're a Sagittarius.
Scorpio.
Okay. I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, me either. I'm still learning.
I know like some signs. I know my sign, but like I don't even know what Scorpio. I heard y'all horny and freaky.
So see, I hear that all the time. I get that all the time. Especially when I'm talking about guys, because I be doing. We have something in my foot, especially Darius. But he's going.
He's a Scorpio too?
Yeah, he's born in November, but I don't know if yeah, for sure. But see, the thing is this, for me personally, to be now I gotta be transparent on the internet, but it is what it is. I'm not a horny individual. Yeah. I'm gonna be very, but
so you're like a sapiosexual?
I'm sexual, but yeah, I can be for sure, 100%. Because when I converse with people, especially women, I know what they're drawn to when I speak. When, so like I've heard women say, "Oh yeah," like, and I bump into a lot of women, people that are sapiosexual as well too. But I am a sexual individual, and anybody who's encountered me or interact with me, if you spend enough time, you know that I'm sexual, but I'm not horny. I'm not out here just jumping on anything. You get what I'm trying to say? So like,
yeah, I mean, some people get money and just lose their mind.
You feel me?
Some people don't have money and still lose their mind.
Right.
Okay.
That's
good self. I feel like you just have a lot of emotional regulation, emotional intelligence, and just regular intelligence in general.
Right.
And so, I completely segued it, but back to the closing.
Yes, sir.
And so now, what makes you the head of onboarding? Like, what does that actually mean? What do you onboard?
People, so like majority of people who want to come to our program, you can't just come to the program. Like you got to go through like a discovery call.
Okay.
So I was Darius's main closer.
And these are people that need help or people that want
to learn from us. Whether at the time we was doing credit repair, and then we was doing funding. So then we was selling that program for like $1,500. Well, D was trying to tell me you could sell this between like $1,500 to like $2,500 to $3,000. He was just trying to tell me, whatever I can close it. So I'm like, so whatever I can close it. I was closing deals at like $3,000. And then he would be shocked when I was closing deals at like $3,500. I'm like, how? I'm like, because in my mind at the time, I'm like, yeah, listen, bro, if I get paid off commission, and I know how to do that, listen, we're gonna make it work. There's times I picked up, cash, and then that's when he's like, oh, this dude's different. So that's how it kind of started. So I was his only closer, but then now he started growing. He wanted to add more people, so then we end up adding some people that stayed with us for a little bit, and then they end up not staying us so much longer. At one point, we had a team of 1, and then we had a team of 4, and then we went right back down to 1, and went to a team of 2. And as of right now, like me and my brother Shorty, shout out to my boy Shorty. This has been us 2 for right now. But now we are going to, because we're growing now, especially at this rate, we are going to be adding some more closers and stuff like that. So, but before, but for the most part, it's just been me for like.
And so with it just being you 2, what would you say is the brunt of like your workload? Like what exactly do you have to do weekly? And do you have like certain quotas? Like how does it work in the mind of a closer? So I want people to understand.
Right.
So this podcast, a lot of new business owners start watching this and stuff. And so to give them some insight on it,
right.
What is the life of a closer?
Yeah, so it's different because it really depends on the structure of the business and how it's set up. What's the brand philosophy? Like there's different ways to make it happen. Like I said, when D started, we were just figuring things out. To be honest with you, like although we're doing really, really well, we're still figuring it out, which is a beautiful thing because you realize that like you'll learn like you could do really, really well in life and not have all the answers. So like it's just all about we're just growing and learning.
Facts.
So like when I was going to Andy Elliott, like I originally thinking, I'm about to go and learn there to learn how to close. And then
you paid for one of his things?
Oh yeah, for a few times. I paid $1,900. I paid $3,500 for
so
VIP.
You like Andy Elliott?
I definitely, for sure. Look, listen, I could sit in front of anybody and find something that I like or respect about the individual.
Fair enough.
Because I believe that you can learn from anybody. And when I mean anybody, without trying to get canceled, you can learn from anybody. Even if somebody attains a skill and they're using it for bad, you can use that same exact skill set for good. It's all about the intention of the individual. But I can learn from anybody. Promise you. You can learn from anybody. Anybody. Yeah. Because whenever you do anything that has impact over people, small or big, is an ability.
Diddy.
Anybody. You can learn from anybody. You can learn from anybody. Anybody.
I feel that. Is there a point where, because I feel like cancel culture did kill a lot of stuff. Since we're going there.
For sure.
I feel like cancel culture did kill a lot of things because I don't necessarily agree with that person's actions in certain areas, but that doesn't take away from their skill set. And so something like a R. Kelly, where, you know, I don't condone or promote going to, you know, peeing on females or messing with little chicks or whatever, but he makes good music.
Right.
And I feel like it's the same thing with any category of life, business, you know, whatever. Like, people have sections of their life where they're going to do some dumb shit. They might do some fucked up shit, but just like you said, there's a section of their life that might be good or might be able to learn something from.
You, like I say, you can learn from anybody. And one of the most challenging things about life is that, like, sometimes, and I don't condone anything that is against someone's will, right? In any way, shape, or form. But I think that sometimes we forget that, like, sometimes, like, there's an age in life where you know what you're doing. And you know what you're getting yourself involved in. And you know what you're allowing and accepting. That goes for anybody.
Facts.
Whether you want to accept that about yourself or not. And that's why, like, it boils down to, if everybody accepted both the who they are entirely, you would know how to navigate and coexist in this world. So, like, I don't know what all of Diddy's fetishes are. That could have been him all this time.
Facts.
Right? Now, and because of where he's at in society, and because we're still adjusting and adapting. Like, it's just now recently people who are part of, you know, the LGBT, like, they're becoming a little bit more bold and more confident in coming out. But before, it wasn't always like that.
Facts.
So imagine there's a part of you that makes you but you have to suppress it for years. When you hide anything for a long time, sometimes it comes out in ways that, right?
True.
So like, and especially when you're high in society, the pressure to run this multi-billion-dollar industry, and you got all these people, companies, coworkers, and you can't mess up because you got hundreds and thousands, if not millions, of people whose livelihood depends on you. So
it's
then
pressure.
That's a lot of pressure. And I cannot speak on a pressure that I've never experienced. And I think that we have opinions on shit that we've never lived.
Yeah, that is like super major, because I always, you know, I've said it less now, more so because people start to have different conversations and different maneuverments with me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm somebody that, I mean, I went to school for arts and psychology, so I understand limiting myself and not giving out too much information and not sharing too much information, but still having a certain level of things. But, you know, shit, Dan will be sitting here for most of the conversations. I'll tell people like, yo, we've done $11 million since 2019.
Right.
You know, and they'll be like, what?
Right.
Where the fuck? Or how? What do you? You know, because I put on sweats, you know, just regular shirt, like you know. But I tell them, like, you have to look at things deeper.
You have to.
Than the surface level of what certain things are. I'm not on Instagram with 100,000 followers. I got 3,000 followers on my personal page. I'm not a social media person. You would have to know me to know that.
Yep.
But it doesn't stop the effect of me creating a proper business structure for different things and the business doing what the business is supposed to do.
Right.
And then creating something new.
Right.
And that doing what it's supposed to do. You know, and for some reason, even seasoned people are shocked by that. And that kind of throws me off, because it's like, if you're shocked by that, that lets me know you don't really have a structure. You don't have a process.
Right.
Because I'm not doing anything crazy. Like, I'm not making that much money because I got staff.
Right.
You know, a lot of that goes to staff
People
and
don't
fucking bills.
They don't
you know, but they see like all these crazy overarching numbers and stuff. And I'm like, that's normal company shit. If you're not seeing those kind of numbers, you're doing something wrong.
Right.
And that's usually the approach I go from the business analyst part. And so now with Darius, you know, whose job is it as a closer for you to to close, do you go find the people to close, or does he get the people and then give them to you?
Yeah, so we run ads.
Are you the one running it, or he runs it?
No, he runs it. So he runs him and the team.
And you just receive it.
So yeah, so like we create. We run ads. We have a pipeline. We use Go High Level. So like everything, when you run ads and people giving you their name, number, and their emails, right? So you have their contacts. So when they're interested, they fill out a form, they go through a process, and so now you hop on and they schedule a call to want to know more about the services, whether it's our mentorship program or a service that we provide, whether it's getting you funded. So then you hop on a call with me, and I just want to know more, like where you're at, where you're coming from, like what's your goal, what you're trying to get, and then see if you're a good fit for us. And then 9 times out of 10, they want what we have, hence why they're on a phone call. So my job is so you want to work with us to get you, to onboard you to our program. Obviously for us to work with you, is an investment. And
this is to make them teachers.
Yeah, so it's either whether they want us to have a funding company.
Okay.
But in reality, it's like just to start an online business, right? So we specialize in the credit and repair and funding, right? But we've helped other people who are in other industries, access capital and to start and scale their own digital business.
So how does somebody get to become part of the inner circle?
So you got to qualify. So one of the biggest qualifications you got to make at the minimum $10K a month. Because you gotta have skin in the game, right? You gotta have skin in the game, gotta make some money, because the investment to get into that program for what you're gonna have access to is gonna require some capital, because you needed all that capital to dump back into not only to your business, but you see yourself. You know what I mean? So we connect them to our network of people, podcast runs, interviews, right? Marketing, all that, like any strategy that you need to help scale this thing from making 10,000 a month to 2030 is going to require lots of information that you don't have, to get you the result that you're looking to acquire. So we give them all access to those things.
Got it. Okay. No, that sounds pretty dope. And once they get access to this funding, or not them getting access to this funding, but you become the people that help them become funding companies and whatnot. Do you have any events that you do to bring everybody together? And hey,
we try to have an in-person event every other month.
Okay. In Atlanta.
Yeah, in Atlanta. Sometimes we had one. We did one in Texas. We want to have one in Miami. I think we're gonna do it in September. We have one coming up, I think, in either this month or the next month. But we have in-person events. So if we do a 5-day boot camp, just know that, the next month we're going to do an in-person event as a fulfillment, right? You come, you sit, you meet with us, learn from us, the people that you were speaking to. And also it's about building a community. Anything that you want to grow in and excel in, you got to have a community.
Facts.
And especially as entrepreneurs and business owners, when you want to succeed in anything in life, you want to be around a body of individuals that are doing the thing that you're trying to do.
Facts.
Right? That's why Christians go to church, or whatever your religious background is, you go, to the mosque, the church, whatever the case is. If you want to learn how to be the best doctor, you go to school. Like, people congregate in communities, right? In order to be in that environment. So we're doing the same exact thing.
Nah, that's dope. Okay, no, I mean, that's good. So, as my last question, I like to ask, if you weren't doing this industry or anything like that, what would you want to do?
If I wasn't?
What would be a dream? I wouldn't even say occupation, but what would life look like for you at your most convenient?
I do want to get into acquisition,
like M&A.
Yeah, I want to find businesses that are dope that I know that I could turn up.
Got you.
That's something that I've always wanted to do, something like that. So I want to say since 2019, 2018. So I know eventually that is coming, that we'll do that. For right now, I love where I'm at. I get to use a skill set that helps me produce for me, and I do pretty decent for myself. And I'm doing all that while helping my brother build and scale this business. So I get to learn firsthand, for a lot of things that I'm learning or that I'm getting connected to, people are paying thousands of dollars for, So like, I'm very grateful for the space. I get to see things for how to run a business, how to run a successful business. What are the different types of high level individuals? What are the different levels of people, person that you can be to produce. So I get to see everything firsthand, and I'm getting connected. So like, I'm like, yeah, this is way too many people try to start run off and do their own thing. Mm-hmm. Whether it's their pride and their ego. I'm like,
everybody want to be number one.
Right. Now, sometimes you got to be number 2 or number 3. Mm-hmm. Till this day, bro, like, regardless of what I like, my brother be, yo, bro, I need you to help me get some. And I'll take my phone out while he's filming. And we'll have a content guy. Mm-hmm. And I'm just getting extra clips from my boy. Mm-hmm. Like using my own phone, using his phone, and we recording photos, taking videos, creating content. And we're rubbing off one another. We're feeding off one another. Like, we're almost on the phone almost every day. Right. And 9 times out of 10, we're talking about how to get better, how to help our business get better, like what we got to do, or obviously we still shooting the shits because we're still boys, but every day like we talk about something that like elevates us and what we want to do and how we want to do it and how we want to put everybody on. You know what I'm saying? That's every day.
I love that.
Yeah, bro.
That's a good environment to be around. I feel like our community in general needs that because you have a lot of broken male figures.
Oh yeah.
That don't know how to just reach out and really take a young Black kid in.
Right.
And doesn't necessarily even have to just be business, but just to give them a direction that says, hey, there's other shit that you can do.
Right.
Because imagine, both of us doing whatever we did on the streets. Imagine if somebody in our position now back then said, yo, I get it. You're making money doing that now, but what if I showed you how to do it this way?
Right.
And you could do this, whenever you want it, however you want it. That would have changed the game. Yeah. Because it wasn't like I wasn't open back then. Mm-hmm. And from even having a conversation with you, I can tell you probably had the open mind for it. Mm-hmm. These opportunities you just weren't presented. They weren't there. I didn't even know they existed.
They exist. And I like the fact that you said that because that, what you just did just remind me of what happened yesterday. Mm. So, we're in town. Mm. So not all, but a few of our, inner circle members are in town today. So, creating content, with, some of these big name influencers that we just, for more, they're on a marketing run right now.
Yeah.
So we're connected them to all these individuals. And while we're doing that, I was on a corner and I see these 4 kids like selling candy. And they walking up to me, hey, you want to buy some candy? And in that moment, I'm like, yo, it's dope that these boys are out here selling candy. But at the same time, like, I want to make this a more effective moment for these individuals because I see what they're doing. Mm. Now, although that, so like what I did was, I was like, for what? Mm. And now I'm asking them questions like, what you want candy for? Like, what you want to sell me candy for? Like, and then I'm like, I'm listening to their responses. And rather than just giving them my money and buying their candy, what I did was I said, there's a better way to get people to buy your candy. And if you practice this, you'll probably sell out a lot faster or make more money. Mm. So then I gave them some simple, basic frameworks on how to, rather than just say, hey, buy something, because most people don't want to be sold to.
Facts.
So I was like, yo, how about you start by just saying, hey, how's it going? Shake the person's hand, look them right in the eye. And as I'm doing this, I'm like, now I'm telling them I can't just tell you. Now you need to put this thing in real time. So now we're role playing on the middle of the street. And I don't know if you know American Income.
Yeah.
So we're doing this in Adams Lamb Begins Park right there.
Yeah.
So like just to be able to have that interaction and then my boys recording the moment, like I needed him to understand something, to say, yo, there's a better way to sell. And if you practice this, not like I want him to see, right? Like what he can really make of it.
Facts.
And what he was expecting to make from that, I ended up cash that happened with a different number. I'm not going to describe how much I've given them. And I know that like when I sent it, one of the people like, yo, it did. And so like, I like that they experienced that moment together. Mm-hmm. But what I like even better was the fact that he was willing to listen to me, because out of the 3 of them that was selling candies,
coachable,
2 of them were the most interactive, 2 of them, and they was really trying to put it. Now they want me to put them on the spot so they could practice with me. Now, one of them was a lot more reserved.
Listen, it's nothing more attractive to a mindset than actually being educated, understanding how to grow financially and being able to execute on it with the proper tools, information, resources, and systems. I want to give you guys a free training on credit to cash. Listen, go to credittocashlive.com, credittocashlive.com. I'm going to give you a training on how to clean your credit, how to repair your credit, how to build your credit, how to fund your credit, and actually generate cash flow from having good credit. It's not just about having a good credit score. It's about actually learning how to monetize it, make money from it, and walk away from your 9-to-5 and create financial freedom. Listen, Credit to Cash Live. I'm giving it to you guys free right here on the Attractive Mindset Podcast. Let's go.
And then I don't want to mislabel him because he's probably just anxious, whatever the case is, and he has to go through that process. But the 2-1, I wanted them to like get that moment. So therefore, like, hey, bro, if they ever decide they want to get in sales, I hopefully encourage them to properly, effectively do that message.
That's a moment of their life they'll never forget.
I hope so, yeah, because I documented it. So we'll see what happens. I had them record it. I recorded on their phone that they was in the Apple Cash App too. Mm-hmm. I just exchanged some words, and I hope that like he sees that video, and then who knows, 5-10 years from now, who knows, we'll have a full circle moment.
Facts. Each one teach one. That's what it is. You know, we don't get to change our community just by single-handed doing something.
Right.
There's too many of us. We each have to do a little bit. Just 1% better 1%. A day. Like 1% adding to the whoever it is, and putting that kind of energy out there. That's how this brand got created. Attractive Mindset. Fire. What you put out is what you get back.
That's it.
And so, you know, I try to make this place as much as a hub as possible to be like, yo, you know, come do your stuff. I have free classes every 3rd week of the month for people that can't pay for the coaching sessions and can't do like certain things. And I switch up the topic every month to be like, yo, let's focus on structure this month. Let's do government contracting this month. Let's do advertising. Let's do numbers. Let's do this. Let's do that. And people go crazy because it's like, yo, I don't even know where all this information is coming from. And I'm like, man, it's a little bit of everything because you can find it out there, but a lot of this is also experience.
Yeah, you got to make a lot of experiences. Have to, because you can't figure it out by just sitting. Right, you got to be out there. You got to do the work. And
people are scared to lose the money to do the work. I tell them my first LLC is 2011.
Right.
2011.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. But you didn't really lose the money, bro. Just as that, because this is how I always say, it's like sometimes we can't have an expectation of what seed that we're sowing, because we're sowing a seed that we're expecting it to be a rose, but in reality it could be a tree. True. And a tree takes a lot longer to bud. True. So sometimes we get disappointed, but like you were, regardless of what you did, you were sowing into your future. Yeah, and that's how I look at it.
Some strippers' tuitions, they could have did without that. I definitely
for sure.
lost.
But guess what you learned? Not to throw your seeds in the wrong garden.
You're right.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's all it is. Like that's how I look at it. You know. So I feel like as you keep going, you'll figure things out. You know, like, and that's what I did, or what I'm continuing doing. That's why now I'm okay with being myself. Like, and I don't look like what you would think a sales closer would look like. But I did that intentionally because, hey man, what we thought the standards was, we live in an agency where like that's not it no more. There's different ways to do it. So if that means if I have to stand out, right, and be my true authentic self to show anybody from any background who look any type of way can do well for yourself. If I have to be the advocate or the guinea pig, whatever the case, then I'm gonna do it. And then if it works for me, now there's no excuses.
Nah, facts. Well, man, this was informative. You know, you got a lot of wisdom.
I appreciate it.
You got a lot of history there. I got to learn more about you as a human being, and I always like looking at that past what you currently do, what you're good at doing, things like that. Because when you get to really know the individual for who they are, you don't attach them to what they can do for you or what they can connect you to. And so for me, you know, the podcast is on two fronts because we teach people a little bit about, you know, what you actually do, but we more so teach them how to understand that everybody's not their Instagram page. Facts. They grew up different. They grew up through struggles. They grew up through having to get things the hard way, losing things, getting things back. Like, you know, life is a process. So man, if people wanted to learn more about you, find out more about you, work with you, where could they do all of that?
So they can find me. I'm on all social media platforms, on Facebook, Instagram. I do have Snapchat, and it's just my full name, Isakar Jean Simon, ISSACAR JEANSIMON. Once again, ISSACARJEANSIMON. Isakar Jean Simon. It's just my name.
Absolutely. He spelled that thing so fast, but we're going to pop it up on the screen.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be on the screen somewhere.
But listen, man, this was another episode of Attractive Mindset. Make sure that you share this with a friend. And as we always say, it's your host, Moneybag Rich. We look good. We live good. Life is good. Talk to us and we talk back, and we out.